Good morning, loves. So I wanted to drop in here this morning and share something with you guys. And this is something that was just moving through my awareness, and it felt really, really important to put this out there and let it be seen, let it be heard, because it's consistently coming up. It's consistently, every time I go live, every time I'm connecting, recording a video. It even came through in a conversation with a dear sister yesterday as we were reflecting upon our time together in our mentorship group. And it's something my own mentor says to us, which is that you can know everything there is to know about self-development, but it doesn't mean that you're actually applying the information and working through truly developing yourself or shifting identities. I really hope you guys can hear me. I know there's a fan going in the background, so I just really hope that it's not drowning this out. But I don't know how to go back and check it. So I hope this works. So one thing that, as I was making a post on YouTube just now and letting everyone know that I had posted the video that I recorded yesterday, I was mulling over that line, that it doesn't matter what we know, it matters how we apply it. And if we're looking at the snapshots of our lives, the information that we collect is not the information from the book. It's not the information from the YouTube podcast or the Instagram reel or the Instagram post. I have people that'll share links and such with me after my live saying, yeah, I know what you're talking about because I read this and because of this. But what I don't normally hear is a personal experience that references how the information was used in real time. Real time being the awareness, the attention, the consciousness, the conscious level of the self-awareness. That is the information we collect. We're not just because we read the books, just because we get the certification, just because we get the degree. And I know this very well because one of the things I began doing was getting my certification in neuropsychology, and now I'm on a pathway. I'm looking at a doctorate in neuroscience, and I haven't begun yet, but I'm on that pathway because I love this work. It's something that I just it just fills me up to the brim, and it's my passion. But one thing I also know is that no matter how much information I receive through those pathways, it supports my neurons in rewiring and refiring. But the only way that can happen completely is if I am actively incorporating the information. So we think about collecting information as reading or listening and like engaging our five senses in this process, which is partially true. Obviously, the senses are collecting the information, but the information isn't just because we read it. It's not just because we heard it. That's not how we actually collect it. I can receive information for months on how to become a millionaire. But if my core belief system is automatically rejecting that, then none of that information is actually being embodied. It's not getting through. Because I, in the core of my being, actually believe that I lack the ability, or I lack the capacity, or because I lack money right now. If I believe I lack money right now, then more money can't come to me because I'm automatically sending the signal that I don't have the space, nor do I believe that it's possible because I believe that I lack something. And the reason why millionaires are millionaires is because they don't believe in lack. And everyone, it's very interesting what I notice about a lot of people that are in that lack state or in that scarcity state. They think that just because Elon Musk has trillions of dollars that he has to somehow give that money to people. That's not true. It doesn't mean that giving back isn't supporting his karma, but what it does mean is that someone that can receive that much is giving back. They gave before they received, but most people don't see it that way. As a matter of fact, I don't know many people that do, unless they are already attuning themselves to the frequency of receiving at that capacity. Elon Musk's creative endeavors are what allows him to receive the money he receives. Now, irregardless of what everyone thinks about how he receives it or what those creative endeavors are, I'm not talking about that. I'm simply mentioning the fact that this man has access to that much money because he is constantly in creative mode. He has hacked the ability to be in the creative mode all the time. He's constantly inventing and giving back. So SpaceX, all these different, the internet, the sky, whatever that is. I forget what it's called. But anyways, the phone service that's like a satellite phone service or internet or whatever it is. This is him giving back. Just because he doesn't go around and hand out money physically to people does not mean that he is not giving back. And this is where, again, that's where that lack and scarcity mindset prevents someone from seeing what's actually happening in that type of exchange. So, you guys, when you want to live a life that gives you the access to your fullest potential, you have to first start acting from that fullest potential. And that also means you slow down long enough to actually work through the information instead of constantly running around talking about what you know. Even what I'm sharing here, I'm sharing this because I was literally just in a place of meditation and prayer and processing, and I was uploading some stuff, letting people know, and I'm sitting here and I'm reviewing my life, and I'm actually looking at how does this apply for me right now? Because as I'm walking towards these further certifications and looking at this, possibly beginning this doctorate within the next year, it's a good reminder for me too that no matter how much information I take in, it does not equate to my life changing. And that is very important for me to remember, because a lot of times, especially going into this consideration of a doctorate, a lot of it is coming from that place of really wanting to be seen as successful and really wanting people to appreciate me and appreciate what I know. And so if I'm being real with myself, I'm acknowledging that that's where that's coming from, and I take a step back. That's a real life example of how my identity likes to act out through gathering information. But the real information is in the snapshots that I remember, that my nervous system compiles and creates my reality from. Those snapshots are the information. That information is a collection of meaning, of beliefs, of emotional entanglement. That's the real information. Words do not equal solely by themselves information. They're a frequency of that information. They're a part of it. But again, when you read words, like people listen to me in lives and they think they know what I'm saying, and this is not an attack. I do the same thing. They're hearing me, and as soon as they're hearing me, they jump into what they think they know about what I'm saying. I do the same thing. And because of this, they're automatically going to approach me from this position of, I want to give you all the information that proves to you that I know what you're saying. So instead of sharing with me a personal experience that they had from the live, or a personal experience that came back around for them during the live, and of course this happens in client sessions too. Again, like I said, happens for me. I've shared it with my own mentors. I'm very accustomed to what this looks like. What happens is you come forward with a preparation list of references. Like if you were writing a paper for a class project and you have to have all the references listed, that's basically the way that it's being approached and it's being presented. It's like, here's all my references. I can prove that I know what you're talking about, that you know what's going on. But I'm not speaking from that place to prove to people that I know what's going on in the world, because I'm not talking about what's going on in the world. I'm talking about what's going on within myself, and I'm using examples that directly reference my own personal experience. So this is a bit different. Now, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the quote-unquote references or information that's been gathered. Obviously, anyone that's reading about self-development or, identity shifting or listening to podcasts, I do the same thing. We're leaning into the beginning stages, but we're just scratching the surface. Because when you hear what someone else is sharing, if the only way that you're relating to it is by referencing what you think you know based on other references of what you think you understand from what other people know, that's not personal to you, which means you don't actually know. You know the words. You recognize the words. You're familiar with the words. But the familiarity from an embodied, lived experience is not being referenced. So until the actual lived experience is used to express the story, until the story is used to reference the actual information, you're not sharing information, you're referencing what you think you know. And that's vastly different. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, just bringing awareness to it. You know, I'm just naming it. It's just different, okay? So sharing that here and letting everyone, you know, just take this as you will, and use it as you will. Because as I am learning to let go learning to let go more and more, I'm also learning more and more about how these snapshots are compiled in my reality, and the frequency, the currency of emotional meaning that's carried along with my my film reel, if you will, because it's a film reel. It's a collection of snapshots that are basically connected together by emotion. Emotion is what's carrying it. I'm in a specific currency of emotion. And if that, again, like I mentioned, if I'm attuned to rain, then those currencies, or that currency of emotion is going to have a very specific frequency. It's probably going to be lower down in my body instead of higher up in my body. The lower down in my body that it is, the heavier that I am, the more stagnancy that exists, the less physically active that I am. But once I start moving, and once I start attuning myself to a different frequency of emotional experience, I'm also, it's just like, you know, when you open yourself up to be a millionaire, you're opening yourself up to, it's not about the money. You know, Elon Musk didn't just decide he was going to make money and all of a sudden he made money. There's a lot of things that come in connection with that. He has a creative genius. He's tapping into his potential all the time. We all have it. And that creative potential is uniquely ours. And it doesn't mean he's a perfect person, but if you look at someone like that and you're not inspired by them, if the only thing you do is find fault in them, then you're not prepared to become a millionaire. Because a millionaire has space to receive everything and everyone. It doesn't mean you give them personal access to you all the time, but it does mean that you learn from them. And if you're not willing to learn from someone that's been there and done that because you have a personal vendetta against them, you're not prepared to be a millionaire. Because a millionaire is not suffering the state of scarcity. They're not suffering the state of loss. And that's a state of scarcity. That's a belief that someone else is somehow bad, and they lack some sort of, you know, there is some sort of character defect and they lack something. So I can't look up to them. Which is really interesting to me. I want to learn from everyone. And I've spent so long pretending to be better than, because I thought my spiritual gifts made me special. And now I realize that I'm powerful. And I can channel and I can actively create some really amazing things. And I have a very, very powerful metacognition. I'm exceptionally intelligent when it comes to conscious awareness. I can recognize patterns immediately, and literally I can hear someone speak in the first few words. I am aware of whatever their pattern is. I have a very, very powerful ability to recognize that. And I own that. But I also own that I've got a lot of work to do. And I can learn from a lot of people. So I feel like sometimes as we begin getting further on this journey, we have a tendency to shut people out or want to see ourselves as special, and we don't have time for people, right? At least I know I've done this. I've cut people out because I just didn't have time for them. So a lot of what's happening in my reality now, something that's been shifting, is as I've made myself more available to learn from everyone and everything, to simply let people be, let their human condition be, and explore what I get to learn about myself from their human condition. Because my human condition, even if I'm not exactly in that place that they're at right now, I have been, and I possibly will be again sometime soon. And so I don't look at them as if I'm better than them or that they're better than me. It doesn't mean that those thoughts don't come up. It means I don't choose to take a snapshot in that moment of that version of myself. Instead of taking a snapshot of what's wrong, I want to take a snapshot of what's right. So that's what I'm sharing with you guys this morning. I appreciate, as always, everyone that chooses to receive these. I look forward to, I'm going to have another live coming up soon. And yeah, if you guys had anything that dropped in for you as you heard me speaking into this, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what's moving through for you, what's challenging you, and a personal experience. If something landed for you, I would love to hear your personal experience, or at least what was personal about it to you. That's what sharing from the heart, or sharing vulnerably and sharing from your personality means. It doesn't mean you pay attention, obviously. If you take it personally and feel offended or attacked, that's the personality. Obviously, there's some shadow identity operating in that moment, which means you're receiving through some sort of meaning that you've assigned that is offended, obviously, and it's wanting to fight back. So just pay attention to that. But that's also a really powerful place to learn. So yeah, drop that in too, and let's explore it. I would love to. All right, you guys, thank you for receiving. I hope you have a beautiful day. And until next time.